Doing TV.com, the home for intelligent black people. Today on drboycetv.com, we're going to talk about this interesting thing that my friend Constance Carter shared with me, where she explained that the rapper T.I. basically decided that he wants to tell everybody that he doesn't make his wife Tiny pay any bills. No matter how much money she makes, that is what he says his rule is when it comes to money. Well, I wrote a book years ago called Financial Lovemaking because you guys know my PhD's in finance and I love to talk about things that relate to love and money. And I'm going to give you a perspective on this and really kind of help you understand why you don't really want to go get financial advice from rappers. So get comfortable, hit the thumbs up button, buckle your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
The home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I hope you guys can hear me okay. Give me a yes if you can hear me okay. Let me know if I'm coming through all right. I want to make sure that my audio is good. Give me a quick yes or B1 or shout out your city. Let me know what city you're from. Anyway, on this platform on drboycetv.com, we have intelligent conversations for people that want to be intelligent, those who want to elevate the conversation. So sometimes we might talk about the same things that everybody else talks about, but we talk about them in a very different way. And also this podcast is on Spotify and on Apple. So if you go to Spotify and Apple, look up my name, Boyce Watkins. You will find it there. All right. So I want to say hello to El Haj and Brent and Patrick. Good to see you. Thank you for giving me the audio check, Philly D. I appreciate it. I want to make sure you can hear me. What's up to everybody on TikTok? I want to warn everybody on TikTok and Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. I want to warn everybody that whenever I go on those platforms, I find that there's literally dozens and dozens of fake Boyce Watkins accounts out there. Apparently, I didn't know that I was that relevant, but apparently I'm relevant enough that I'm being copied consistently by people that will reach out to you and offer you stuff and take your money. So please do not accept any of those invites, report those accounts because I don't want anybody to get hurt. All right. So anyway, let me hop into this conversation today. The rapper T.I. All right. So T.I., Constance Carter, who's a good friend of mine, good friend of the Black Business School, real estate expert, amazing Black woman. She's always on Fly Nubian Queen. She put up a post that I think is about a year old, but I think it's still a relevant topic. And it had to do with my favorite rapper. Y'all don't know this because I don't talk about who my favorite rappers are in terms of talent level. T.I. is near the top of the list. He's top of the food chain as far as I'm concerned in terms of pure talent. Obviously, there are some issues in terms of hip hop and what happened to the content and the types of messages that are being sent to the kids. But if you measure it based on raw talent, I put T.I. right up there because he's just this guy's super smart, super psychologically ambidextrous. He's maybe that's like his word expeditious. He likes to say expeditious a lot. So I would also use the word ambidextrous. I mean, the man is just a badass in terms of his lyrical capability. Shout out to T.I. 100%. I met T.I. when we were in Ghana. I was in Ghana a couple years ago with Mike Roberts, who's this really rich dude out of St. Louis. He's a good guy. He came to the All Black National Convention. He runs $1 billion worth of companies. Well, Michael Roberts invited me over to Ghana with a delegation of people, and T.I. and Tiny happened to pop in. And so I sat and I said hello to him and everything else. I don't think he knew me from a hole in the wall, but then one of his homeboys said, no, he knew you, he knows you, he just didn't know it was you. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. But actually, T.I., I believe, if I'm not mistaken, has actually supported the Black Business School. I believe he bought some of our financial flashcards for kids because he's, in the spirit of trying to be the best father he can be. He also understands the importance of teaching his children economic intelligence. So shout out to T.I. for that. If you want to take a look at our financial flashcards for kids, just go to drboycebooks.com. My books are there. Our flashcards are there. They're really beneficial. Millions of people have used our stuff, and it works. It really does work. But anyway, let me dig into T.I. and Tiny and what T.I. said that I wanted to bring to your attention because I really want to kind of put some nuance on it, sprinkle a little professor game on it to help us understand how to kind of process a statement like this, right? So the comment that I saw came from Constance, who put this on Constance Carter. She put this on her page, and she said, in the title of the article, and I'm going to be real ghetto and just read the title and kind of talk about what the title says, not so much the nuance of it. I'm sure Ti has his reasons for saying it, but it says here, rapper Ti claims Tiny is not allowed to pay any bills, no matter how much money she's making. That literally, even if Tiny was making 100 times more than Ti, he's not letting his wife pay any bills. Now, how many of you agree with that? How many of you think that women should just not pay bills, that men should always pay the bills, and that that's just sort of a symbol of manhood or masculinity or whatever? Give me a yes if you think that that makes sense, or give me a no if you think that that's a little bit too much, if you think that's over the top, or a little bit strange, maybe even old fashioned, or maybe that's just what some people might call rich people talk. What do y'all think? What do you think about that statement? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? I'd like to know what you guys think, because here's the thing. Let me kind of give some nuance to it. Okay, so I have studied this topic a lot. I wrote a book years ago when I was on the faculty of Syracuse University called Financial Lovemaking. The book's on Amazon somewhere if you want to go take a look at it. It's also on Audible, I believe. And in this book, I talked extensively about how love and money are connected. And one of the things I really discovered in this book was a couple of things I picked up on, among others. One is it became really solid in my head that women tend to be attracted to financial security, and there's not many ways around it. There's something in your biological wiring from millions of years of evolution that just says that you like security. Women don't like to feel unsafe. Women don't like to feel when that things are unstable. And if you grew up in an unsafe, unstable environment, then you sometimes can spend your whole life seeking out that stability, or seeking, or maybe even chasing unstable situations, because that's what you're used to, so you can make it stable, or either that, or you completely avoid anything that even appears to even have a semblance of instability. Give me a yes if you've ever seen this. My wife is a therapist. She has a lot of clients that I think go through that kind of thing. She doesn't tell me details of her clients because she's not allowed to, but that's kind of the thing. That's kind of a theme, right? A lot of us grew up in crazy situations. I have a friend, for example, who grew up in the hood in South Central in the 1990s, which was an absolutely horrific, nightmarish place to be. The trauma was like on level 45, and now she's this successful professional Black woman, but she's got all this trauma stored up in her body and in her mind and in her soul and in her spirit. And here's the thing: with trauma, you got to heal from it. You really have to heal from it. My wife is a certified trauma professional, and that's what taught me about the importance of healing from my trauma. Well, another person who's pretty traumatized, if you listen to his music, you could probably agree with this, is Ti. Ti is he talks about growing up in the trap, and the trap became such a fundamental part of our existence that we literally have a whole genre called trap music, which is music that came out of this terrible experience, right? 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, instead of playing and going to school and having fun, they have their friends getting shot. They got to worry about staying alive. They got to worry about getting in the street, making money. It became this really dysfunctional situation that in the spirit of the Black experience, we tend to take things that are highly dysfunctional and we just make them normal. We take the things that are highly outrageous and we just say, oh, well, that's just life as a Black person. Give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about. Like we have the greatest ability I've ever seen to literally go live through a genocidal experience, and then we'll like go make a song about it, right? And it's crazy to me, and I think that's kind of what you've seen in hip hop, and I think that that's something that we should digest and kind of process and say, what are we doing here? Why do we sing and dance to the beat of our own trauma? Why do we celebrate our genocide? Why do we enjoy our pain so much? Because in fact, we enjoy the pain so much sometimes that we will re-enter the pain even when we've had a chance to walk away from the pain. You ever see those kids that are in the suburbs and you live in a nice cushy life, but the kid still wants to go downtown and start thugging in the streets because they just think that that's how you keep it real? Or you have Madam President, who's on Fly New Being Queen. She was at the All Black National Convention. Madam President did a video recently on her Instagram page where she talked about a Kai Cenat. There's apparently a YouTube influencer named Kai Cenat who literally is doing videos now. I think a lot of his audience is Black, but a lot of them are white, because white people love Black people who act crazy and weird. They just like us. They like us to thug it out. That's the minstrel show. They enjoy that part of who who we are. They don't want to hear a black man talking about science. They don't want to hear a black man talking about math. They show as hell don't want to hear a black man talking about racism or reparations, but they love to see a black man behave in ways that are incredibly stereotypical because that's your job. Just like the job of a hoe is to be a hoe, everybody will pay good money for a good hoe to act like a hoe. Well, the same way, the black men, sometimes we hoe ourselves by presenting ourselves to the world in the way that the world expects us to show up. And then we get paid for that. And we think, look, mama, I'm successful. Look, mama, I'm winning. I was doing good. Look at how much money I got. Well, look who's paying you money. And ask yourself, why are they paying you money? Who's giving you the money and why are they paying you money? See, Immortal Technique, another rapper I love. I have to bring up guys like him because I don't want everybody to think I dislike rappers. I love rappers. I love hip hop, but I don't like all the rappers. I don't like everything that they're doing. Some are more enlightened than others. Immortal Technique, one of my favorite rappers on the planet. I had the great opportunity to have a wonderful conversation with Immortal Technique. 3 rappers I admire that I met. 4 of them. I'll name 4. 2 of them I enjoyed meeting them. 2 of them I didn't. 2 of them it wasn't such a great experience, but 2 of them I really enjoyed. You never want to really meet your heroes, to be honest with you. It just kind of takes them off a pedestal and it gets real weird. But 2 guys that I loved for years that I got a chance to talk to extensively were Ice Cube and Immortal Technique. Those were wonderful conversations because both of those guys are smart as hell. Immortal Technique and I talked 2 times for 2 hours each time. And I love the fact that Immortal Technique explains something very clear that every artist on this planet needs to hear. He explains clearly that all money ain't good money. That just because somebody's paying you bread to do something, that does not mean that what you're doing is a good thing. You can never get to the point, and I say this again as a person who's studied money extensively for 30 something years, you cannot ever fall into the trap of believing. See, what T.I. makes trap music. Here's another trap. I'm about to make some trap music. I'm about to flow a little bit and give you some trap music. Here's another trap. Another trap that a lot of us educated black folks fall into is that we think that if you're making money, you're winning. If you are getting paid to do something, then whatever you're doing must be a good thing. That if I'm rich, that means that I'm more successful than a person who's not rich, which is completely untrue. And so the reason I love Immortal Technique is because I think he really, really gets that more than almost anybody else. He was probably my favorite rapper to talk to, right up there with D1, who's another great guy who understands there are some things more important than money. My disappointing conversations were with Kanye West. I didn't enjoy talking to him that much, to be honest with you. And then T.I., it was kind of like a plastic interaction. It wasn't really, but then again, it might have been because he just didn't know who I was. And I didn't tell him. I didn't say, hey, do you know who I am? I'm Boyce Watkins. I didn't do that. I just said hello to him. But he's still one of my favorite rappers. I love him. So let me kind of explain to you what I was thinking in terms of what T.I. said about Tiny not being allowed to pay bills. All right, and if you could, please hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Just a reminder, this podcast is on Spotify and Apple. So if you go to Spotify and Apple, just look up my name, hit the follow button, We've had over about 1.2 million downloads, which is pretty good for intelligent black people. We're not doing ignorant stuff. So I appreciate the fact that you guys are supporting the podcast. And also, if you want to take a look at my new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. All right, so here. So in terms of T.I.'s comment about Tiny, so he basically said, I don't let Tiny pay bills no matter how much money she makes. Now, again, I don't know all the nuance of why T.I. said this. Remember, they have a complicated history. I think that when they first met, she made more money than him. She was the star. He was kind of on the come up. And it sounds like there's a loyalty there. And I admire that loyalty immensely. I admire their loyalty to each other. Their marriage is weird. It's a little strange, to be honest with you. They seem to get into some stuff, right? There's been some weird accusations thrown around about crazy stuff they get into and stuff involving strippers and all that. But then again, I just chalk that up to the culture, right? That culture. That's not black culture now, by the way. That's not black culture. That is more so maybe hip hop culture, but not every black person is running back and forth to the strip club. Not every black person is trying to do threesomes, foursomes, and fivesomes and all this other stuff. But again, I'm not judging that, but that's their lifestyle. So it's a little bit of an awkward marriage, but it works for them. And I like that. I respect that. I respect that immensely because I respect loyalty. I respect when you can just say, you know what? I love you despite your flaws. I do believe, again, as a married man, I'm speaking here, I don't believe that you can ever really have a long-term relationship with any human being if you cannot learn to accept them for who they are. I really believe that. I think that if you ever expect a person in your life, whether it's a friend, a business partner, or a romantic partner, to always show up as perfect and to fit your fairy tale, or to always follow your rules and be the person you need them to be all the time, I think that you're probably going to have some disappointment. What you're going to end up doing is I think you're going to treat it like bubble gum. You know how you get a piece of gum, you chew it until the sugar runs out, and then you spit it out and you get a fresh piece, because a fresh piece always tastes better than the old piece, if you know what I mean. So the new piece is always better than the old piece, right? And so effectively, there are some people who just kind of go through life like that. They start a relationship, everything's great, and then when the sugar runs out, they spit it out and they start over again, because it's easier to start over again. There are people. Did y'all know? This is just a little fun fact, because I read a lot of books and stuff. Um, there's something that the term they use called love addicts, and love addicts are people who literally they don't like necessarily being in good long-term healthy relationships. They just love the experience of falling in love. They love the high, the dopamine rush that comes with meeting somebody new, touching them for the first time, kissing them for the first time, their first orgasm, their first whatever, and that first 6 months. They're really good in relationships for 6 to 9 months. And then after about 6 to 9 months, give me a yes if you know anybody like that who has nothing but a series and a string. And if you're in this category, I apologize. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. But they literally they have this string of these like 9 month really really hot relationships, and so they'll call you and they say, hey girl, I just met I just met this new guy, he's amazing, blah 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 blah. And then you know that when they call you back 6 months later and you ask them about that same person, 9 times out of 10 they're going to say, oh, let me tell you what he did, right? Or let me tell you, and I had to get rid of her because of whatever, if you know what I'm talking about, right? So there are people that live that way, and I guess it's okay if that's what you choose, as long as you understand what it is. But if you ask these people, they're typically not conscious of the fact that they live that way. They're not able to see that, right? So they think that the world is screwed up. They think that there's something wrong with other people. They think that, well, I'm still looking for the one. I'm looking for the right one. I'm looking for the right woman that can act right and do this and do that and whatever. And it's like, no, no, there is no right woman. The right woman is the woman that's right now. That's the right woman, because my friend had a funny saying, and I'm not going to use the P word, but it rhymes with ussy. And she said the only thing better than ussy is new ussy, right? So the only thing better than ussy is new ussy, if you know what I'm talking about. So that newness is something that people like, and that's a maturity thing, right? Because if you're immature, then you're always chasing the bright shiny new thing instead of leaning toward or maintaining the reliable old thing where you at least know what you're going to get, right? So anyway, so let me keep going. So with Tiny and Ti in this whole conversation about Ti saying that his wife shouldn't pay any bills no matter how much money she makes, I respect it on one hand, because I think that for some men that is a rule of masculinity. They just believe that it's my job to pay all the bills. I can also understand it in the context of the kind of marriage they seem to have. That one where Tiny has been very clear about saying, look, I don't care if he's got other women. I don't care if he's running to the strip club. Ti could probably get away with a lot of stuff that most of y'all can't get away with in your marriage, right? You can't, right? But it may be in her mind. She says, well, in exchange for me sitting at home and taking care of your kids and all this other stuff while you do whatever you do, sow your royal oats. I need you to make sure all the bills are paid so that I can kind of deal with that. Now, is that okay? Is that a good relationship? It's a personal decision, right? And in my view, if it works for them, then I'm happy for them. Now, here's the thing, though. I think you should be really careful about taking financial advice from rich rappers. That's really the big point I want to make on this. I think anybody who is getting relationship or financial advice from a celebrity rapper needs to go read some books. You need to go talk to some professionals. You need to go talk to some people who really understand your life. I can tell you, as a person who's dabbled in the celebrity world, I've met celebrities. Celebrities know me. They call me sometimes. I can just tell you that their lives are not like your life. Their options are not like your options. Their situations are not your situations. I sat there and I watched Kanye West just casually pay a $437,000 Amex bill or something like it was nothing, right? And so what I really think that we have to understand is that, remember, as Black people, you are trained to by society to worship celebrities. Every study out here, every study imaginable says that Black people we look up to celebrities more than almost anybody else. If you don't believe me, look online and look at how quickly some people will defend any single thing a celebrity does. A celebrity could say or do anything crazy, and if it's their favorite celebrity, they'll find some way to justify it. It doesn't matter, right? And unfortunately, this is partly, in my view, driven by the fact that you don't really know who you are. You don't know how valuable you are. You don't understand that you really shouldn't be following the celebrities. Intelligent black people should not be following celebrities. The celebrities should be following us. Because you're the smart ones. You're the ones who figured out a way to survive in a society that doesn't reward you for being a hardworking dad. You're surviving in a world that doesn't reward you for being a responsible engineer who takes care of his kids. You live in a world where you're more likely to be rewarded, especially as a black man, if you're out here acting like a buffoon. If you're, when they will embrace a rapper who has killed people and abandoned his children faster than they will embrace an intelligent black man who takes good care of his family. And that's because the celebrity who is irresponsible is not a threat. That drug addicted, coked out, weeded out, liquored out, ignorant ass celebrity, that ain't nothing but a high paid slave. They're like, okay, we got this hoe in check. We know this guy's a puppet. We know we got our hand up his ass, and he will say whatever we tell him to say as long as the record label pays him enough money. So if we tell him to go out and call himself a nigga and get online and act a fool and embarrass his family, then he'll do that because we're paying him enough money. The threat in society is the black man or the black woman that they cannot control. And on the female side, it's not so much more just celebrities, but it's also even when you talk about women in their space on the corporate plantation. I think that for black women, I think you got to decide which side are you on. One thing I can say about my wife, who has more success on the corporate plantation than I do, organizations will accept her faster than they'll accept me because I'm a radical black man and she's a light skinned black woman, right? But she makes it clear I stand with the black man. My man is more important to me than my boss. My man matters more to me than my career. My family matters more to me than the person who's signing my paycheck. And so I think ultimately that's a distinction I've noticed with black women. You got to understand. Here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. Y'all know me. I hope it's okay. Give me a guess if it's okay if I go if as I'm gonna bring the Dr. Boyce part because there is a financial conversation to be had. But I also like to bring in Uncle Boyce every now and then. I hope that's all right. I want to ask your permission because I don't want to give you advice that you don't want. But one thing I will tell you is that when I was single, it was not hard to meet women. It just wasn't. Dating, for women that I talk to, when I say what's dating like in your 40s, most of them say it's terrible. It wasn't terrible for me in my 40s. When I was 45 years old, it was actually the only problem I had was there was too many options, too many distractions. Okay, and that's because there's a statistical imbalance between marriage eligible men and marriage eligible women. Particularly, the older you get, the more the imbalance creates itself. But one of the things that happened was I saw that there were a lot of women who were interested in being next to me because they saw I could give them access to things. I could give them access to money. I could, traveling around the world was nothing. My last relationship before my wife, I probably took this lady on 100 trips and didn't think anything about the cost because I was privileged in that way. And it wasn't a bad experience. However, one thing I had to warn the women on when I would meet them is I said, look, you need to understand that there are pros and cons to having a man like me by your side. The pro is that the person I am has allowed and afforded me benefits and opportunities that a lot of people don't get. I can spend money and do all the stuff that you think is cool, fancy, and important, take you to a nice steakhouse and whatever, and it's not a big deal. We can do all that. But understand, I need to ask you a question. The question the New Edition asked a long time ago is, can you stand the rain? Because being next to me ain't always fun. Being next to me ain't always easy. You might go on, somebody might see our picture online and clown us and make fun of you, and your family might see this. I might get caught up in a scandal that embarrasses you, and even if it's not even my fault, because that's how the world works. White people are afraid of me. White people are scared of me, and I don't know why. I'm not mean to them. I'm very nice to them, but historically, they've always been afraid of black men who were intelligent and honest and told the truth about things like racism and reparations and all that. So that means that when you go to your little job or when your job at IBM or Google or whatever, I'm gonna support you. I'm not threatened by your success. I want to see you win on every level, but just understand that when your little white coworkers start Googling and they find out who your man is, then suddenly some of those opportunities inside the plantation might shut down because they're going to learn that you're like the slave who's been invited into the big house, but you're getting a little too cuddly with a field Negro. I am a field Negro. There aren't many white institutions in this country that embrace people like me. And it's okay. I personally believe maybe I'm just ahead of my time. Maybe in 50 years they'll look back and say, "Oh, we really liked him all along. We just didn't know." But I look back at all the greatest men in history, and most of them were not embraced by white America. When Martin Luther King was killed, most Americans did not like that man. The majority of Americans said, "We don't like that guy. Get him out of here." When Muhammad Ali was young, nobody really liked Ali in terms of the white community. The overwhelming majority thought he was a loudmouth and he got on their nerves. Malcolm X was not embraced by white America. They bring him on TV just so they could try to discredit him or talk about how much of a terrible person he was. So effectively, what I find is that you have two types of black women that are in that corporate America space. You got the ones that are just down for whatever, about it, know who they are, ain't scared. And then you got those who are like, oh well, maybe I should go and date Chad because Chad from accounting is going to be able to give me the opportunities that will allow me to Meghan Markle myself or Kamala Harris myself up the ladder. Like, pay attention. I want you to really think about this. Look at how many women. Look at some of the top women in America in terms of opportunity right now, black women. And I want you to ask yourself, what do their husbands look like? Claudine Gay, who is the new president of Harvard University. Have you seen her husband? Her husband is melanin deficient. Kamala Harris. Have you seen her husband, Doug? Or she calls him Dougie. She went to an HBCU, by the way. But she married Dougie. Well, it's not a coincidence that Dougie is not just melanin deficient, but he's also a high-powered attorney that can give her lots of political connections. Have you looked at Ketanji Brown Jackson on the Supreme Court? Have you seen her husband? Wonderful guy. He seems like he really loves her. He really supports her. I'm not saying anything against him. But do you think that him being a white guy who's 6 generations deep at Harvard University, do you think that maybe played some role in the opportunities that she received within white American institutions? Okay, so what I would say is that there is just sort of a difference there. I can tell you that my wife, when people at her job started Googling and found out who her husband was, they started treating her very differently. And what I love about this little black girl from Gary, Indiana, is that she did not give a shit. She did not. She said, "You know what? That's all right, baby. Me and you are just gonna build together, and to hell with all those people, because I know you're a good man. I know you're there for me. You're there for my kids, and we love each other, and we're gonna fight together, and we're gonna build this empire out. Even if we're rejected from other spaces where we're not wanted, we don't want to be in places where we're not wanted." That was the choice that she made. So what I would say to any black man out here that's really trying to pick a good, solid woman, try to figure out which side she's on. How committed is she to the struggle? Because I can just tell you that I think that being black in America definitely comes with a struggle. I think that black men have a type of struggle that very few people will ever understand. Okay, and so anyway, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My website is boycewatkins.com. And that book on love and money I told you about is called Financial Lovemaking. You can find it either at drboycebooks.com, or you can actually go to Amazon or Audible, wherever you want to get it. drboycebooks.com comes directly to the house. So that does help our family business the most. But if you want to go to Amazon, I'm not going to tell you not to. All right. So let's drill in on a couple final thoughts on this point about T.I. and T.I. stating that Tiny isn't allowed to pay any bills, no matter how much money she makes. I think that comes from the fact, like, I listened to T.I.'s music very closely for many, many years. I got this sense that he's kind of a old school Southern black man, kind of masculine in that way. He reminds me of my father. I told my father, I said, yeah, this rapper T.I. reminds me of you when you were young. Just kind of like a little guy with a Napoleon complex, like really going out of his way to show you how much of a man he is. And he's a great, he seems like a great man in terms of as far as artists go. I don't like the comment though completely if you're internalizing it, because I think that when you hear a celebrity rapper say, "I don't let women pay bills," that can make a lot of men feel bad who didn't get a record deal. And the reason I took the time to discuss this topic, and I didn't bring my wife in on this because I had a lot to say on this, and sometimes I say, I got something I got to say, so I'll bring my wife in on this later, because I want to kind of lay out not just a voice perspective but a male perspective. I don't want guys to feel that pressure. It is perfectly fine to be in a relationship or a partnership where where you're sharing the economic responsibility of that relationship. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It doesn't make you a bad person or a simp or an idiot or a weak guy or anything like that. And it's important to understand that, because I could see some men saying, well, I shouldn't get married or I shouldn't commit to a woman because I can't afford to do what Ti is doing with his woman. I can't afford to pay all the bills. I work on the garbage truck. I can't do that on my own. And I think that's unfair. I think that's fundamentally unfair because remember, you live in a biased society where the black men who have the biggest megaphones are the guys who are being paid to engage in what is a questionable craft to begin with. The promotion of criminal behavior to the black community in exchange for significant economic gain is something that Ti cannot walk away from. And I say this as a guy who respects him. I think he's one of my favorite rappers. I know a lot of Atlanta rappers. I know Killer Mike and David Banner really well, and I know they know Tip. And I'm not trying to be insulting, but I think that they understand that there is a problem with what hip hop has become. The social issues definitely created the bastardization of our experience, which therefore led to music that has gotten a lot of young black men killed. It just has. When you're talking about I think one of his songs, he's literally rapping about driving down to what I've been drinking and I've been smoking, driving down 285, but I'm focused. How I mean, I ask in all due respect, brother. How is a 16-year-old gonna process what you just said? You say I've been drinking, I've been smoking, flying down 285, but I'm focused. I need to kind of be honest for a minute and mention a year and a half ago, my daughter got hit by a drunk driver, some asshole. He wasn't black, who decided he want to fly down the freeway because he thought he was focused, even though he'd been drinking and driving, slammed into her car and almost killed her. She woke up on the side of the road and was in the hospital for weeks and weeks and weeks and could not even use the bathroom for 3 weeks. Can you imagine not being able to use the bathroom for 3 weeks? So what I'm simply saying is there's consequences to the things that we say. And again, when Ti made that song, that was years ago. He still performs it, but that was years ago. But I really think that it's very important and critical that we require ourselves to reflect on the messaging that these white folks are paying us to put into the heads of our kids. Because if there was some Wizard of Oz guy behind the curtain paying Negroes money to say these horrible things to other black people or present our community and ourselves in an inappropriate way, we wouldn't be doing it. It's all the puppet game. It's literally like I know that Mr. Charlie's gonna pay good money for me to do the minstrel show. So I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna do the minstrel show and I'm gonna do it real well. And then other black people will look up to me because of how much money I have. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying here. So while I certainly have admiration for the talent and respect for the achievements of many artists in the industry, I think that the time it has come for there to be a reckoning. The time is now. The time has, in fact, the time has passed for us to just kind of stop for a minute and say, what are we doing to our kids, and why are you contributing to this? Why are you taking one of the most persuasive art forms in the history of this planet, one of the most persuasive forms of messaging, one of the types of messaging that drills super deep into the subconscious, and weaponizing this and injecting psychological poison into the minds of our kids? And I know that there's some people that are going to always be mad at me. There's going to be people that are going to be like, "Oh, well, you dissing, you hating, and all that." And I all I can say is I feel sorry for you because your hero worship has overridden your logic or your concern for your own community or your own children. That one of the reasons that you saw Ti publicly talking about how he was checking his daughter's hymen, and I feel bad saying this. I saw his daughter when we were in Ghana. I didn't nothing against him, but that comment about checking my daughter's hymen to make sure my daughter ain't out here hoeing or whatever. What you're basically saying is I'm trying to protect my daughter from the kind of man I was 15, 20 years ago. Right. I don't want her to run into a younger version of me because I know that I ain't never shown no respect for nobody's daughter. Every hoe I ever had in my house was somebody's daughter. Every stripper, every hooker, every woman I spit on and crapped on or whatever, that was somebody's daughter. I didn't give a damn. And I'm concerned I'm living with the demon that somebody's going to do that to my daughter too. And so what I think is important to understand, and again, I want to take him out of the picture because I don't want this to get into a diss thing. I just don't, because it's hard for me, right? Because I told y'all he's my favorite rapper. Right? He's so talented. He's like the living version. Y'all gonna get mad at me for saying this, but I think he's as talented as Tupac. I was around the Tupac era. I was around in Ti's era. The only difference is that Tupac died, and when somebody dies, sometimes we put them on a pedestal like they can't be touched. But if they were both living, I would give it to Ti, to be honest with you. Even though I love both of their music, both of them were my favorite artists. But here's the thing: I think that we have to understand as men and as women that when we're pouring into the community, whatever we're pouring into the community is going to come back at us. Karma is a horrible, horrible bitch, and sometimes that karma shows up 20 years later, after you have polluted the very environment that you're in which you're trying to raise your children. So, what I would encourage all people to understand, especially the men, is that one extension of the word man is manifest. And one part of masculinity, of manhood, is that you have, as a man, the ability to manifest and to create the reality that you want to see. That means that when I talk to an artist who says I'm a man, then I would say to them, okay, as a man, why are you manifesting and using all your creativity to create music and energy that is going to destroy the futures of these children? And they said, well, I'm a product of my environment. I was born in the trap. I was raised in trap. I'm a product of my. I said, no, but that's not a man then. You're not a man. Because a man who is masculine, who has the ability to manifest, is not always just a product of his environment. Once he becomes a man, he understands, pay attention now, that his environment is a product of him. Your environment should be a product of you. You should be the energy source that determines how warm or how cold that environment is. If you tell me that you 40 years old and you still a product of your environment, then I'm going to say, wow, you never went through any form of ritual or rite of passage to jump across that line from being a boy to a man. Because a little boy can say that. A little boy can say, I'm a product of my environment. I was just following the crowd and people told me what to do. I didn't have no power. Okay, I get that. But if you up here on the cover of albums and magazines and you talking about I'm the man, look at how masculine I am, then to me, part of that masculinity means that you're operating as a king. And T.I. called himself the king of the South for many, many years. So to me, a king has that ability to manifest. That king has the ability to shape the environment around him. Am I right, or am I crazy? Am I the only person who understands what I'm saying right now? Let me know if y'all get what I'm saying here. When I became a man, you got to understand, when I became a man, I began to understand things that we don't talk enough about in our community. I began to understand things like power. I started reading books like Powernomics. And one thing that Dr. Claude Anderson says in the book Powernomics, and I keep a copy with me, by the way, everywhere I go. It's right here next to me. And in the book Powernomics, the first thing Dr. Claude Anderson does, this is why Kanye and Kanye and Ice Cube were calling me, is because they all admire Dr. Claude Anderson like I do, because Powernomics really resonates with men. Is one thing that Dr. Anderson speaks on when he talks about power, is that he says power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others. Power is not just being a product of your environment. Power is not just getting kicked around by the world and well, the white man gonna do what he want to do. No, that's not power. That's not power talk. Power talk is when you say, no, I said it, so therefore it is going to occur. Power is like a football game. If you think about the Power 5 conferences and you think about what power football looks like, anytime you see two football teams go on the field, both of those football teams show up with a plan. Am I right, or am I right? Both teams show up with a game plan. Both teams spent the whole week drawing X's and O's and charts. So when the University of Connecticut faces up against the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we know Connecticut's going to get murdered by Alabama. Don't think that Connecticut isn't showing up with a game plan. Their coaches got the headsets on and they got the pump up speech before the game and got all pumped up, riled up. They're running on the field. Yeah, and they got a plan. Okay, you're gonna throw it to the running back. He's gonna go out in the flat and you're gonna do this and you're gonna block that. Blah, blah. Everybody shows up with a plan, right? Am I right? Give me a yes if you're following what I'm saying. So remember, what did Mike Tyson say about having a plan though? He said, everybody's got a plan until what? He said, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And then suddenly your plan becomes pure chaos. So when the University of Connecticut, with their big, strong football players who've been in the weight room all year and preparing all week, shows up with their plan, and University of Alabama shows up with their plan, Alabama's plan is going to dominate the plan of the University of Connecticut. Connecticut's plan will survive on that football field for about 5 to 10 minutes. It's about 10 minutes in where Alabama scored their third touchdown in the first quarter that you realize that it made no sense for them to even have a plan at all, because there's no chance that their plan is going to succeed against Alabama. So that's what you call power. That's what power looks like. Alabama said, yeah, you got a plan, but we don't care what your plan is, because we got a better plan. In fact, right now we are your guide, and your plan don't mean nothing next to God's plan. So what I'm saying to you in general is that when you talk about being a man, and every man should have a plan, I want to ask you, do you have a plan that is going to become a where you're going to just become a product of your environment, like the University of Connecticut? Or are you a plan where your environment is going to be a product of you? Do you have a plan, and are you strong enough that your environment will become a product of you? Are you Connecticut or are you Alabama? In general, the way the black man is raised in this society, in my opinion, especially with these damn liberals up in our ear, I'm not voting for Republican or Democrat, so let's not get into that. But they talk to black men as if we are always supposed to be products of our environment. They give us that loser talk. They give us that lack of accountability talk. They give us that talk that says, well, it ain't your fault that you're not taking care of your kids. It's not your fault that your community's falling apart. It's not your responsibility to fix anything in your environment, because you're just a product of your environment. So everything you are, everything that's happening around you, everything that's happening to your woman, everything that's happening to your kids is solely and completely somebody else's fault. And because it's somebody else's fault, and because you're a product of your environment, you have no accountability nor any expectation to try to correct any of those issues that you see around you. And I'm just going to tell you that is absolute crap. That is absolute BS. That is not manhood in its purest form. There's nothing masculine about a man who pretty much surrenders and submits to somebody else's will on a consistent and a regular basis. So when I hear rappers say to me, well, I'm just a product of my environment, or this is how you make the money, or there's nothing I can do about it, that right there tells me, okay, you're not really a man. Because a man says, I don't know if I'm going to win this fight, but I'm going to fight like hell. And I don't think I can change everything, but the things I can change, the things I can control, I'm going to focus on that. So I would say that with hip hop, I would say that the problem you have with hip hop, and the reason that I think T.I.'s comments about paying all the bills and everything else with Tiny are so dangerous is not just because it doesn't apply to regular people, but it's also a problem because it puts this unrealistic standard in the minds of some women, where you think that a man is a better man for you because he's made these unfortunate trade-offs that some of these rappers have made in order to make a little extra money. Or maybe you are chasing the guy who took penitentiary chances and was breaking the law, and who has extra money that he can impress you with, and you don't care how he got the money as long as he's able to pay more bills. So that makes him in your mind a better man, when really there's nothing but a bunch of misery around the corner. Right. So I just think overall comments like that are a little bit dangerous. I think that if you're going to get relationship advice or financial advice, I would get it from professionals. I would not get it from entertainers. Entertainers are asked to speak on topics, and they just sort of answer those questions because they're asked those questions, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I would encourage any intelligent person who really wants to live the life that you were meant to live, don't take what entertainers say all that seriously, because they're literally measured against a different standard from you. They really live in a different world from you, and their reality has nothing to do with your reality. Find your reality. Find people who can identify with that, who can help you understand what trade-offs you need to make, and then go manifest the reality that you want to see. So anyway, I know I talked a lot. I know I said a lot about this topic, and I want to reiterate real quick. I have nothing against Ti or any of the rappers in Atlanta or anywhere else. I just have to say that because I was just in Atlanta and I know a lot of people down there, and I've been told like, well, Doc, is some of the rappers think you don't like hip hop artists, and that's just not true. I love hip hop. I love a lot of hip hop artists. I talked about two rappers a week, just because they just happen to call me and stuff, and so a lot of them I just love and I respect them. And in fact, if I didn't love hip hop, I wouldn't be talking about it at all. And so it's really my love for hip hop that leads me to say, that we should be extremely careful about allowing such a persuasive art form. See, they love to put money into hip hop because they know that it can change the minds of black people. They put money into it because they say, man, if we can control this, then we can control them. And all for hundreds of years, the number one goal of this society has been to control the massive economic power of the black community. And it's not just economic, but it's other things that relate to the economics. They want to control your mind, they want to control your labor, they want to control your culture. And hip hop has been the easiest pathway to do it. It's like an injection straight to the bloodstream because they know that if they can get a rapper to rap out a certain message that is just as genocidal as a Klansman. It's just as destructive as if somebody from the KKK has said it. But they know that if they can get a rapper to say it, that's like getting your mother to tell you to do something. So it's not your enemy telling you to drink the poison. It's your mama telling you to drink it. And your mama saying, drink this. It's safe. It's good for you, baby. You got to keep drinking this. And next thing you know, you're like, okay, mama. And you're just taking it in and taking it and taking it. And then you start getting sick. And even as you're getting sick, and somebody says, your mama was giving you that poison. The woman you love the most was the one who was killing you. You refuse to believe it. You still, and then you go to your mama and you say, mama, they told me you were poisoning me. And your mama says, no, they weren't poison. They just haters. They just haters. No, it was really the white man. The white man did it, but the white man ain't nowhere around. However, that racist white man might have been the one who somehow corrupted your mother, maybe got her hooked on crack and got her to give you that poison and get you to take it so willingly. We only absorb messages that come from people that we trust. We only tend to absorb messages that come from people we trust. And many of the messages, if you were to take away the person delivering the message and simply say, what if a white person said this to you? This rapper called you the N word 47 times. They rapped about murdering your whole family. They rapped about raping your daughter. He rapped about how you can throw away all your money. He's giving your son instructions on how to be a drug addict by the age of 18, how to get hooked on fentanyl and all this other stuff. If you took away the messenger and said, well, no, actually, your favorite rapper didn't say this. It was actually a Proud Boy who said it. It was a Republican who said it. You would reject it completely. But so what I think, and again, not everybody's going to do it. I know this is kind of a fruitless exercise because, not everybody's going to listen, right? But part of my desire to be a man, to manifest, is to commit myself to this basic idea. I can't control the whole world. I can't change the whole world. I'll never be in a position that I expect where I'll be able to change the whole world. However, I do have a radius. I do have a world around me. I do have people that listen to me. I have people in my ecosystem that respond to me, that will hear me out. And in that space, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to ensure that the message that I am sharing with you is one that is going to put us in a place that improves our lives and makes us stronger. That is what I'm going to do. So again, with that word manifest, I'm just asking y'all, get out here and manifest. I mean, shit. So what? The world is stupid. The world is backwards. The world is crazy. The world is full of haters. You're gonna have haters. You're gonna have people who attack you. I got critics all over the place. And if you are a critic, I don't give a shit what you say. I just want you to know I don't watch your videos. I don't care. I want you to keep making them because the more you talk about me, the more people come over here to see what I'm talking about anyway. So please keep doing it. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But I'm here to tell you at the end of the day, you have to do this because if you don't, you're showing up to the football game looking like the University of Connecticut and the University of Alabama is going to run all over your team. So you better show up with a game plan. You better have a commitment to manifest. And I really think that this starts with things like how we conduct ourselves when it comes to family, how we conduct ourselves when it comes to the knowledge that we pursue, how we conduct ourselves when it comes to our economics, and how we conduct ourselves in terms of just basic knowledge of self. A person who has knowledge of self is not easily guided by idiots who want to take them down the wrong path. A person who has knowledge of self is not going to just follow behind some stupid entertainer because they know who the hell they are. A person with knowledge of self is not going to let some stupid girl cause them to do some old dumb stuff with their life because they know that they have other options. A person with knowledge of self that has self-love and love from people that they care about is not a person who's going to be easily swayed by the nonsense that exists out here, because people like that are comfortable enough in who they are and where they are that they can stand right there by themselves and know that they're doing the right thing. And that's my dream for you. That's my hope for you. That's my hope for your kids. And that's something you can give your kids that don't cost a nickel. Giving your kids self-esteem don't cost a damn thing. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. You're giving your children the gift of self-knowledge, self-respect, and self-esteem won't cost you a penny out of your bank account, but it will cost you in terms of focus, attention, commitment, courage, and the desire to manifest. So get the hell out here and manifest, because your life belongs to you. It don't belong to nobody else. So don't come and talk to me about what the white man's doing. I want to know what you're doing. Don't talk to me about what the Republicans did. I want to know what you're doing. Don't tell me about what your boss did or what Mr. Charlie did down the street or what this person did or what your mama did or your daddy did. I want to know, what are you doing to engage in the basic principles that come up in this books like Powernomics. Remember, power, Dr. Anderson defines it in the first couple pages. Hit the thumbs up button. I'm going to read it to you if I can find it real quick. He said he defines power very quickly. Let me see here. He defines it. So here, let's see. Let me see if I can find it. I can't find it. I got to find it for you guys. But he literally said, and it stuck with me. I mean, it really stuck with me. He said, power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others. So that means that even when you get hit in the mouth, you still stick to the plan. It means that even if others are trying to stop you, you still keep moving. It means even if you know that it's not going to be easy, even if you know there are going to be barriers put in your way, you don't stop the game so you can sit and bitch about the barriers. You just find your way around them. You solve that problem. You manifest. You manifest. You manifest. That's what you do. So every day, get up and manifest something good in your life. That is how you succeed. That is how you win. And I guarantee you that when you have that type of energy, most people are not even going to mess with you. Ain't no white man gonna try to stop a black man who knows who the hell he is. Ain't no racist person really gonna try to stand up to a black person who is clear and conscious and intelligent and focused and determined and delivering and pushing and working and striving. They can't stop that. You can't stop that. Because why would they try to stop you when there's so many other weak, brainwashed, easily distracted people out here they can mess with? It's like the bully at school. You know, anybody ever get bullied? And you see, one thing about bullies that you should know is that bullies don't mess with the strong kids. Bullies don't mess with the kids that are going to fight back. Bullies only mess with the kids who give up easy. They mess with the kids who don't have any confidence. They mess with the kids who are going to keep giving them the lunch money, because bullies don't want that kind of smoke. So don't let nobody bully you. Don't let life bully you. Don't let bad people bully you. You just keep on going. That's how you succeed. That's how you win. And that's what I really want for you. And that's what I definitely want for your kids. Because Lord knows it ain't easy out here in this world. But that's life. That's how the world is built. All right. So anyway, I'm done talking. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your time. I really enjoyed this conversation. And once again, no disrespect to T.I. and Tiny. Sometimes I say stuff that makes people think I don't like them, but I do like them. And I just, that whole, like, you have to pay all the bills. Let me just say this. I don't pay all the bills, and I make more money than my wife, but shoot, I like the fact that my wife makes six figures. I like when we go out to dinner, and sometimes if I don't want to pay the check. This morning we went to breakfast and my wife said, "Oh, I got it. I'll pay it." And she took the bill. And that's where and there's nothing bad about that, right? It's really a matter of making your own rules as you go along in your own relationship. And then also remember that there are things in a relationship you should deliver consistently that go far beyond just how much money you have. So don't ever think that all your wealth is tied up in your bank account. There are so many other ways you can add value to the life of another person, even if you ain't got a nickel. So keep adding value yourself, value what you're bringing to the table, and don't let anybody ever take that away from you just because you're still trying to get your money up. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy at drboycebooks.com. Also, if you text the word stock to 31996, I can send you a list of AI stocks that I'm invested in, as well as a training on how to make money without working and a few other things. So just text the word stock to 31996. All right, I'm out of here, guys. God bless you. And again, to T.I. and Tiny, No disrespect, so please don't take it that way. If you ever have any questions or concerned about something I said, just reach out. I don't know T.I., but I know Killer Mike, so he can connect us if you would like to get clarification on anything that was said here. All right, so I'll see you guys later. Take care. Have a great day. Love you. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV. Here we are.